Hello and welcome to the Spotlight Reporting video. My name is Matt. It's my pleasure to talk to you today about 5 products that we offer here at Spotlight Reporting. We'll work you through each of the 5 products to begin with as a high-level overview of what each of those products aims to do. And then I will jump across and show you through step by step how each one of those products works. We have 5 products. They are Reporting Dashboard, Forecasting, Multi, and Sustain. Each of these products do a slightly different thing, but they combine together to be our full suite of tools. Excuse me. Spotlight Reporting, to start off with, is our namesake product. It's the tool that you can use to prepare comprehensive management board style and board level reports. These can be as long or as brief as you need them to be. They incorporate a number of data sets, and they do present in a very visual and impactful way. You can work with non-financial data or financial data. You can import data, as we'll see, from different cloud sources, but also desktop solutions as well. There's a number of things that happen in the KPI space, and commentary as well as automations are jam-packed in there too. Spotlight Dashboard is a light version of a report. It is a single page and you can have different configurations of these simple, easy to consume, digest and read for the end user. Now, a lot of what we see in Spotlight Reporting and Dashboard is very similar, and we'll come to talk about those similarities. Spotlight Forecasting is our 3-way forecasting tool. That means you'll have profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow forecast all interacting and talking to each other to ensure the accuracy of those forecasts. We have built a double entry accounting system underneath it, so all of those journals post in the background without you needing to worry about them. As part of our reporting tool and our forecasting tool, we have built in a consolidation function. Now, this is consolidation for groups of up to 75 organizations. Whether your requirement need be for preparing monthly or quarterly reports, that's existing in the reporting product, or if you are looking to prepare consolidated forecasts and look to the future, then you can also do that in our forecasting product. Layered in across all of this is what if analysis, where you can prepare different scenarios to chart a more accurate way forward into the future, and you can compare these against each other as well as against actuals as the year goes by. Those 3 are what we would package up into one bundle, because they do serve what I would typically call our accountant, advisor, bookkeeper, or office of the CFO group of customers. That group can use these 3 products really powerfully in order to get to some really good outcomes. Depending on the type of client that they're working with, they can choose and pick between a mixture of each of those 3 products or combination. Spotlight Multi, on the other hand, it is our aggregation tool. It is built specifically for larger data sets. Here I'm talking about groups of entities up to 500. The likes of those which are quite common for us, we're seeing franchises, not-for-profit networks, and just any other large scale consolidations as well. The reason that I say Spotlight Multi is really good for aggregating is because we can bring a whole lot of data together in order to prepare things like benchmarks. We can rank the entities within the group to see who the top performers might be, or if we want to flip it, we can see who the bottom performers are. You can run statistics across these in order to determine what your averages might be, and then work with individual entities within that group and compare those against specific thresholds for the likes of exception style reporting. A lot of the feedback that we get for people who have come on board to use Spotlight Multi is that it was an impossible task to review 100, let alone 200 management reports for the entities within a group, but being able to visualize these things through the use of KPIs, rankings, benchmarkings, exceptions, in Spotlight Multi has helped them to target and focus on specific areas. It's also helped to illuminate who the top performers are versus perhaps the bottom performers. We can look to leverage the knowledge and the strengths of the group to help lift those bottom performers as well. Across each of these aggregations or consolidations, you can also categorize. So you can group together a subset. So let's say I have a group of 50 entities. I can segment that. It could be by turnover. It could be by location, really whatever it is, industry that you want to segment your group by, and you can run filtered down reports to drill into a specific area. There's so much that happens across these reports, forecast dashboards, and multi-product, but these kind of do service different audiences. The fifth and the final product that I'll talk about, Spotlight Sustain, is a completely different audience again. It is the same organization, however, the purpose and the output is so very different. Spotlight Sustain aims to provide reporting for ESG, environment, social governance. As we see legal requirements coming for especially the bigger end of town entities, corporates, and so on, that will, of course, trickle down the supply chain to some of our small and medium businesses to prepare ESG style reports. Not to neglect those who are also sustainably conscious and want to prepare this information for either internal purposes, for external purposes, or even if it is a question of raising capital or funding, where ESG is becoming more and more prevalent. Spotlight Sustain can help you to present the environment, social, and governance style information. So those are the 5 products. We're going to start with Spotlight Reporting. We'll then move to Spotlight Forecasts. We'll cover off dashboards and multi, and then finish at Spotlight Sustain and show you exactly how each one of these products works. When I do come across to Spotlight Reporting, I've logged into an account and I have configured this prior. There's a number of entities and you can use this, the main screen, in order to move between your different products. Here I have my 5 products across the top of my screen. Within the body of the screen, you can see that I've got essentially a control panel where I can identify entities. I can filter them down by internal ID location or the report preparation. These entities at the top of my list have been pinned, so everybody can put their favorites to the top of the list. It's as simple as when you're starting out, clicking that add button to either create an individual entity or a group. Remember, a group of up to 75 entities is possible in Spotlight Reporting and Spotlight Forecasts. The things that happen in those groups, and I'll just mention this here because I won't be showing you, I first create the entities and then I can batch them up into a group and say, that's the consolidation that I'd like to perform. Multi-currency is taken care of for you. So we use rates from xe.com. They are month-end rates. You can swap that across to the mid-month rate if you prefer. Also, you can overwrite the rate to be a rate of your own choosing in order to convert values to the same currency for the consolidated report. There's also intercompany eliminations module within the consolidation space where you can identify the accounts which are intercompany accounts and then match them off to make sure that you're eliminating everything. And then when you come to surface them in your report, you can run the report with eliminations, see the before eliminations and after eliminations adjustments. When I look at the individual entities, though, you can see I'm going to use this entity here. I've got access to all sorts of things, whether I choose to edit, preview, bring a PDF down or export it. I can send that by email, and I can even go back and see a full report history. You can create as many reports as you'd like, so I could even create a new one, but for today, I think let's go and look at this one that I've already created. Everything in Spotlight happens from this screen, the import screen. You'll notice that it is a logical sequence of events. So step 1, import, through to step 5, complete. Spotlight was created by accountants for accountants. So there's really logical steps to follow as you work your way through a report and preparing a report. We have here a data source that I've already hooked up. I mentioned that you can connect to both financial and non-financial data sources, both cloud and desktop solutions. There's a number of different options, as you can see here. Previously, I have already connected to a Xero data source, and there are many, many more to choose from, whether it be QuickBooks Online, MYOB Account Write Plus, Xero Practice Manager, Google Analytics, and Google Sheets, or your desktop solutions in the form of QuickBooks Desktop, MYOB Account Write, or Sage 50. Excel Upload, very similar to the Google Sheets import, exists and are there for any other kind of data, especially if you have access to non-financial data and you're wanting to bring that across into your report. Really powerful idea if you are blending together financial and non-financial. This will come into play as we do look to build our report, and it will also come into play for specific industries that you might be working with. More about that a bit later. We've also got this notion of personal wealth. If you're kind of really looking to get into holistic style reporting and you're wanting to report on personal wealth as well as business side, then these layers can be brought into the report. Like I mentioned, everything starts with data. You're going to be importing your data, picking up on actuals, both accrual and cash basis actuals, as well as budget data. If you've got tracking in Xero, you can bring that tracking data in as well and then filter down your reports to reflect that. The next screen is the Customised Data screen, and this is where everything lands. We're basically looking to our accounting systems or other systems, and we're saying, can I have the data for this range in time? So here on my grid, I've got some white cells, I've got some yellow cells. The difference there is a period of actuals with a period of budget. There's some other things that have just happened for me automatically, and they are the classification of my accounts. So we can see a list of accounts. All of these are revenue accounts, and they fall under the revenue header. This has all been analyzed as part of the importing process. We've looked and we've said, can I have the chart of accounts? So that means that anything that's in your accounting system as revenue is automatically mapped into Spotlight as revenue. The same goes for any of your balance sheet items. Everything lands in the correct places. We can then pick up on those categorizations in order to build up the profit and loss in the balance sheet later on. This screen is editable, so if there's anything on here that you do want to change around, it might be that your preference for management style reporting is to shuffle around revenue and cost of sales in order to get a different picture. That freedom is allowed here. If you do expand the show details, you can change the report codes around to your heart's content. Within the Customized Data screen is also a facility to work with that tracking information. You can see it here. We won't dwell too much on that. More if you do want to find out about that within our Help Center. Hopping over to the Customized Layout screen now, though, we're working with our actual report. The majority of the time is going to be spent here. With each subsequent report being prepared, the amount of time spent reduces as well. You can build out the report of your dreams, or you can start from a good solid base of a report template. These are pre-configured based on knowledge that we have here at Spotlight from working as an accountant, myself included, but also both of our founders here are chartered accountants. These reports have been pieced together based on what is most popular and most successful. There's also industry-specific templates that you can build out. These already will feature specific metrics. I mentioned earlier that you might have some financial information and some non-financial information that you want to blend together in order to get the metrics that matter most to the people that you're working with. You can, of course, pull in specific things. I'll use retail as an example, where you might have your accounting system telling you what the sales were for the month, but you might also have a non-financial metric that tells us what the if it's a physical store, how many square meters or square foot, the area of the shop where we're operating. I can piece those two together in order to present a metric that's sales per square meter or sales per square foot. Really powerful metric and specific as it relates to the retail industry templates. Hugely powerful, what I'd call turnkey reports. We just need to feed the data in and they'll populate. The reports, though, are totally open to adjustment. So you can work with and change any of the things that you're seeing here. This is a standard report. It does have by default a profit and loss, a balance sheet, and a cash flow. So we're kind of dealing with, excuse me, all elements that might be helpful for working in a management report style. There's plenty of charts, there's plenty of visuals, and there's also plenty of adjustment options. So if, for example, I want to drill into this profit and loss, I can make changes here. You can see this may not be my preferred style, show settings, and I can work with all sorts of different options, change around the layouts, bring in 2 layers of nesting as far as the rows are concerned, and pick from many, many options in the column space, whether it be monthlies, bi-monthlies, quarterlies, annuals. The mix is there and you can swap them around. Graphs are the same. You can access our chart gallery. In Spotlight, we have over 150 different charts to choose from, and you can, as simple as picking them from the list, either segment them into the categories or search by term and then add them in. For every chart that we have, there's function to duplicate, make a copy, or move them to different pages, and then some quick actions as well. Within each chart, it's really simple to build out different colors. If it is that you're looking and working with your own firm and it has colors and a branding guideline, you can work within here in order to build out these. So if I do want to make a change to how this chart is working and get some different colors happening, then update, you can see my graph updates as I go. Maybe you even want to have a bar chart. You can start to see that these updates are pulling through for me and being presented here. Within each of our charts, we can drill into the formula. So we're talking layers upon layers and just giving you an idea of the flexibility. If I've got trading revenue presented in my graph, I can access the formula for that, and I can even start to make tweaks or adjustments. So if I need to exclude a particular revenue item, I'd subtract the specific account that I want excluded. Now, that's getting into the real deep end of the swimming pool, so I'll pull you back out. We're going to go back and take a look at the customized layout screen. Heaps of different pages to choose from. We've got a page gallery here. You can tweak and update your reports as you need. One thing that I will show you exists on this executive summary page where we are looking at commentary. There's freedom to type in words that you may choose for each report that you run. However, as we look at some of these more financially focused fields, there are typical sentences that we might write. You can pick these from our auto text menu, say working with a revenue section, so I can pull through any kind of pre-formatted auto text, automated text that happens in your report using these blue tags. When you click away, those fields will update and you'll see the values. The good news about this, the great news story really, is that as I roll my report date forward in time, all of those blue tags will automatically update for me. And that saves a huge amount of time as I come to prepare reports month to month by not having to come back to write in values from profit and loss or balance sheet accounts that may change around, especially with different reviews that might happen. And that time saving, of course, helps me to focus on being able to provide the more meaningful commentary, the observations, the advice, perhaps even in the shape of recommendations for action. Now, speaking of time savers, AI is available to both generate commentary and also to refine commentary. The highlights you choose generated after picking the time period for your comparison. Now, there's a raft of monthly, quarterly, and year-to-date options when it comes to comparisons. Selecting those, and then when you process that, they all appear, and you can select which of those AI suggestions that you want to add into your report. Now, once they're in your report, and from that point on, you can refine, in fact, all and any of the commentary in your report using Edit with AI. Once this module is open, you can choose from the on-screen options, and that might be to make something more professional or even to simplify that commentary that's been given to us from the AI suggestions, perhaps, or even your own auto text or your auto text selection, or even your own commentary that you've written to really just make that sing. Update that and you'll see it all feed into your report commentary. It's a really super smart way to bring together important elements of your reports in a quick way. There's also pages that you can prepare that do work with specific actions and targeting our attention on what are the things that we want to see. As you can see here from this list, there's many pages that you can work with, whether they be industry specific or just generic pages too. All of the pages that you can work with here are selectable from the drop down. Of course, if you're wanting to see some more visuals, graphs are the best way to do that, and you can start to pull in your different graphs this way. Once you have gotten to a state where you are finished preparing that report, you can slide across to the preview screen. The preview screen is great for presenting this information up on your boardroom screen, perhaps, or even if you're on a Zoom and you're wanting to do a screen share, you can pull this up here. Now, as you run through the report, you can see I've got a logo in the top right of my screen, which is the front cover of this report. You can white label this, so please don't feel that you need to have it looking like this. If you've got your own colors, if you've got your own logo, you can white label absolutely everything that goes out. There's just flying run through the report that we've built with some of the tweaks, changes, and updates to those report pages. You can also export a PDF or Excel copy of this report. And for some users that are working with Carbon and integrated tasks, you can pipe this completed artifact back through into Carbon. From here, you can complete that report, and this closes us off. You can give it a title, you can email it out, present online, download PDF, and even publish that to lock it down so that we've got it saved for later. Spotlight reporting in a nutshell, great for board level management reports, perfect for your own adjustments to be made. If you're looking for something as a really solid starting place, those templates will help, but you can tweak and adjust those as you need. The consolidation feature as well, remember that you can group up to 75 entities within a Spotlight reporting group. Multi-currency taken care of, intercompany eliminations taken care of there, and you can also create categories so that you can see different filters of segments within your consolidated groups. I'll show you this very quickly just to give you an idea, but the good news is that it's all very familiar from what we saw in Spotlight reporting for individual entities. The same sequence where we start with importing data, move to the data grid, build out that report. All of the same pages that you might have expected. However, we go a layer deeper and we say, hey, you can actually run entity level reports, and we can start to bring in each individual entity within the group, as well as any eliminations in order to see the consolidated picture. Hugely powerful consolidation tool here with many, many options, KPIs and non-financials being available within groups too. As I look to Spotlight forecasting now, so kind of moving across the wheel of products, Spotlight forecasts is a product designed for three-way forecasting. As you look at my screen here, I have got something set up already, both an individual entity and a group, which I've pinned. As I go in to manage these tasks, you'll see that my journey starts with data. I've hooked up to an accounting system here, and you can pick your own, which you connect to, and then import data. That data is then used as the basis of all of your forecasts that you might create. Here, I've created a number of forecasts. It might be that you're in the rhythm of preparing a baseline forecast. Off that, you clone a copy and you say, hey, I want to make this look a little more optimistic. And then from that baseline, you then say, well, I want to make something that looks a little more conservative. And then we've got three forecasts that we can use as we go into the future. If that's not you, fine, and you've got a specific need or requirement, which is capital expenditure, it might be headcount, any number of things that you might want to prepare a forecast for. It might be funding or loan from the bank or going out to investors. This is the solution for you. So having imported data, I can now create a forecast, and you do that using this button here to either create a three-way forecast, which is going to give you profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow forecast, or create just a simple profit and loss alone. Don't give me any balance sheet, don't give me any cash flow. I only want to build a budget. There's drivers which are layered across these, and a driver is something that becomes quite neat when we're preparing line items on our forecast in our profit and loss. The driver could be something as simple as price and volume. If we know that our price kind of moves very little throughout the year, but our volumes are seasonal, then we can build that into the logic of our drivers and then surface that in a revenue item. The KPIs and covenants that exist there as well are really good for outputs. If you're working with a bank, let's say, and they have a specific covenant that a certain metric must not fall below a threshold or exceed, then you can start to work with these KPIs and covenants when we're forecasting out into the future. One thing I'll say here before we kind of look at it is that you can prepare a forecast for up to 5 years, 60 months, which is a decent amount of time. I'll show you this one here, which I've got running for a 2-year period, and I have actuals up until Jan 2024. Today's date, I'll just point out, is March 2024. If I look to edit that, I can edit it here. If I look to make a copy, then I can do that as well and create a branch off it where I can make specific adjustments in that branch without affecting this original forecast. I see here on my screen the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and the cash flow, and I can move between those tabs as I please in order to see how these things are looking. Within the profit and loss, of course, I have my revenue already open for me to work with. There's two things that happen here. The first is what my, in a sense, accrual values for my forecast profit and loss are going to be. And I can enter these values in myself. I can use logic to say I want to have an adjustment, and that could be as simple as let's use a percentage adjustment, and that can be a 10% uplift on the existing value previous year plus the adjustment. So you can kind of get the idea how we can very quickly get to a draft forecast position, essentially. If you are also looking to do some smart things like dynamically calculate an item, for example, here I've got a consultancy revenue, which is pieced together as 20% of my project revenue becomes my essentially services line item. I can hook up logic like that. So as I move forward in time, that logic is always going to be calculating for me. I've worked with customers in the past who have wired their entire profit and loss because the nature of their business means that everything relates back to one specific account or one specific driver. The one that I'll call to mind is, in fact, funeral homes, where I've seen to, with 4 decimal places level of percentage calculation and accuracy, being able to branch from a single driver. and revenue line item to then cascade down into cost of sales. They know their GP margins better than I know my own phone number, essentially, and then filling out expenses and so on in order to arrive at profit and tax position. Hugely powerful tool to be able to run that there. There's so much automation built in here. I mentioned that there's two parts to it. That's dealing with the values. The logic behind how we arrive at a cash flow from that exists on the left here, and it's all through assumptions that we build into what is known as a rule. These rules are designed to be really simple to follow your way through. So here in this case, I've got my revenue collection is 60, 30, 10 across the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month time frame. There's many things that you can do from within your forecast. There's rules devoted to revenue, cost of sales, expenses, depreciation, wages, and of course, tax. These are all based off what might be typical for your geography. So here in New Zealand, where I currently sit, you're going to see things like KiwiSaver, and it's going to prompt you to add in what your deductions might be for that. If you're in Australia, you'll get superannuation, and you can fill in the values that you need to see there for your different superannuation levels. There's all sorts of schedules around timing when these things should happen. So if I look in here, for example, I've got sales tax. I want it to happen on a payments basis. I want it to happen monthly. If I look at my payroll taxes, I want them to happen monthly. And I can choose and pick between different options, and I can see what that actually means. So if, for example, you're here and you're an Australian and you're looking at this and you're thinking, hold on, where's the quarterly option for agent? Then if you are working in Australia, you'll see those settings. If I look here, all I need to do, that's just reminding me, is to bring fresh data in, is to import it back on the previous screen, sync it, and it'll come across into this task here. From the balance sheet, I just want to take you here quickly. One thing that I will point out is there's a lot of automation set up here already around things like GST or sales tax, around income tax, around NI, PAYE, PAYG, and so on. But the one that I'm going to pick up on here is the non-current liabilities. Where you do have a loan, we will work with a loan amortization rule. So this is going to calculate the principal, it's going to calculate the interest, and it will fire those entries off to the relevant places. This is really simple to set up. Enter your information and your details around the terms of the loan, and then straight away built out for me principal, interest. So interest will get piped back to the profit and loss. Principal will be taken from the loan balance. All of the cash flows will hit. As I just cancel that very quickly and show you the cash flow forecast, I'll be able to pick up the lines where I've got my interest expense hitting here, where I've got my liability on my bank loan decreasing over time. So as I work with this, of course, here spending very little time on this actual cash flow forecast, having spent the time on the profit and loss of the balance sheet, the cash flow inherits its knowledge from those two other tabs there and just presents the correct information for me based on double entry accounting. All sorts of wonderful things that you can do. Haven't got the time to run through it today. The report output, and essentially what we are giving to stakeholders, whether that be client, whether it be bank or finance provider, these are well and truly accepted by banks that we have worked with in the past. The reports, of course, very similar method, process, and approach to what we saw in Spotlight reporting. You can work with table-based information. You can work with chart-based information. This chart-based information is really helpful, I find, as a self-review mechanism, but you can go beyond that further. If you're wanting to include those drivers, KPIs, let's bring them in here. The comparison pages for profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow also exist. So if, like me, you have multiple tasks in here, you can pick up on different tasks. It might be that you're wanting to compare A with B and a variance. It might be that you're wanting to say, hey, I want A, B, and C all on the same page with the variances. I can run variance percentage or variance dollar, and then start to see how each different scenario might be stacking up. So if I'm running a baseline forecast against CapEx, let's see how CapEx might look. If I'm running a baseline forecast against headcount increase, then I'd put all those different factors into that scenario, and then I can run the comparison of those. Fantastic tool to be able to run together a forecast in record time. I have seen people arrive at draft forecast position within 30 to 60 minutes. The preview, the complete, all much the same as we've already seen in Spotlight reporting. The groups in Spotlight forecasting, where you create a consolidation. Like I mentioned, you can create a consolidation of up to 75 entities in Spotlight forecasting. Simple as setting up your group, saying the group currency, the date range you're looking for, and the last month of actuals. From there, you just enter, let's go, the task that I'm wanting to pull in. It will sync and then update, and now it's part of the group. All I need to do from the Customised Data screen is review those numbers, see how they stack up together as part of a consolidated group, add any eliminations that I want, all the foreign exchange taken care of for me. So you can see here, the currency for the group is NZD, but I have an entity that's working in USD. So that's a really powerful, huge thing that I'm just kind of skimming over in record time. Reports forecasts, where we will spend the bulk of our time today, but worth mentioning Spotlight dashboards very quickly. Spotlight dashboards, they are more akin to what we saw in reporting. However, they are the condensed, or let's call it distilled version. These dashboards are one pages, and they are intentionally one page because we don't want to overwhelm the reader of this information. One place where I've seen this work really well is with specific industries. I've worked with accountants in the past who have prepared dashboards. They have sent them out and worked specifically as a starting point. Let's focus on all of the tradespeople, the builders, the plumbers, the electricians, bricklayers, what have you. Any client of that nature and type, we can start there with a dashboard, and let's just go out. Might be quarterly, might be monthly, and let's see how we present this to them and start to pick into some of the detail around how their business is working. You can set up different templates. The good news, and I didn't mention this in reporting, but you can start from a baseline template and then tweak it and adjust it to be exactly the thing that you want it to be in order to then save that down. A saved template that I create can be used by anybody else in my practice. That means that if I'm part of an accounting firm and there's 6 other people who are also working with tradespeople, they're able to pick up on the template that I create. The work is done. They just need to select the template from the list, import the data, and away you go. There might be some fields like this one, recommendations, where the commentary needs the work, but better to spend the time working on actions or recommendations to then go and do, rather than actually building out, hey, I need this one to look like this and this one to look like this, and so on and so on. We've got that high level information, we've got some visual information on the page in order to see how that's looking. Of course, if you're wanting to pull in some balance sheet components, it's a quick click, drag, drop. You can pick from all sorts of different things here as well. So even if I'm looking to present some different metrics, there's obviously something happening in that window of time there, but you can really weave a story through this. So even if I'm looking to say, hey, I want my balance sheet over there, I want some, what have I got? Cash on hand monthly. I've got some, I think I might just jump back to the balance sheet. I'm looking for liquidity, cash, and debtors. I can start to weave a story through this where I'm talking to the hefty chunk of change in the bank account, which is off the charts at the moment. and a steady level of debtors that I never quite collect. The picture there paints itself. You can also swap over and use different styles of dashboard. So this one off to the right, the performance could be that it's in portrait orientation, slides nicely onto the front cover of any kind of annual style engagement that you might have. These dashboards, like I mentioned, are designed to be quick and easy to build, quick and easy to understand as well. So always thinking towards that client or customer interaction. The idea here is that you could start with something really simple, like a one-page dashboard with minimal investment. Spend the time, better to spend that time working with the client that you have on improving, on action, on check-ins, on discussions around how that business can be built. That's essentially the step. Taking a step to dashboards, we go up to reports, which are more comprehensive. You kind of have multiple pages. We saw half a dozen there today, but it could be up to a dozen, 15 different pages, depending on the growth, the scale, the impact that that business is wanting to have. Of course, from there, there's forecasts as well. And as you kind of look into that growth angle, it could be that we're looking to bring in more money in order to get there. These three products very much tied in and working together in harmony with each other. The other thing that I'll show you here, which is Spotlight Multi, again, is a slightly different slice. We're talking about groups of entities that we want to aggregate. The Spotlight Multi report process, much like the dashboards and the reports before it, is exactly the same. You import data, it lands in Spotlight, you can move things around, you can adjust things if you choose, or you can come straight to the build report. It's exactly the same as we saw in Spotlight reporting. However, it does have some differences. So in this case, we're pulling together the data of so many entities, and we're bringing it all together in one. Like I mentioned, you can filter this down. I've got an organization filter here, so I can run a report for just a single entity, or I can multi-select and batch up a group. If I do want to kind of formalize those entities into zones or segments, then I can do that as well. And then I'd have a filter for, let's say, location. We have a cheesecake company that works in Spotlight Multi. They have approximately 260 different stores across Australia and New Zealand. They run reports by state in order to drill into how is this specific area of the empire working. What can we learn as the best performer from Victoria and the best performer from New South Wales? What are they doing different to everyone else in the group? So you can start to gain some really powerful insight here. As we work with the likes of the profit and loss and the balance sheet, great. The rankings and exceptions, KPIs, and visual scorecard, though, are unique to Spotlight Multi, and that's where a lot of the heft lives. I'll show you this rankings page very, very quickly. It's got a list view, so I can say, hey, I'm interested in these different metrics. If you don't want those ones, swap them out, or even build out your own KPI that you're looking to report on. There's many, many options there. As I do run this, the rankings for me in this case are highest at top, lowest at bottom. So I can start to see where people are in the stack. Like I mentioned, average, median, top three, bottom three. These metrics essentially, or let's call them stats and thresholds, can be used across the group. So if I'm wanting to even anonymize this, I can run a rankings page that is anonymized. So if I have that page, like I can see in the background here, I can give each one of these entities a code so that no one else can identify which store is which is each other. And then that's going to help me kind of saying, hey, your performance is here. In the scheme of the group, there's a number above you, a number below, and these are our averages that we're working towards. The comment that we had received from our cheesecake company is to be able to move from a position where we were paralyzed by 260 profit and loss statements to a position where we can just run this by segment, being location, and then drill into each store and say, hey, this is what we're looking. The operations people can then come to those bottom performers and help them lift the performance. We can start to learn patterns or trends that might emerge, and whether that be stock management or cost of sales, whether it be foot traffic, marketing, advertising. The list is enormous, but the insight gained from something like this is huge. There's also this one called exceptions, where you can, in fact, set a threshold. You can then see for something like revenue versus budget, profit versus budget, any outliers going to be marked in red. So in this case, I can see for revenue against budget, cherry, date, raspberry, and pomegranate are four that I might want to take a closer look at. In fact, for some of those profit lines, profit versus budget, you can see there's a bit of symmetry there too. So we're starting to weave the different layers together here. We started at the relatively small end of town, but now we're talking big end of town, large group that we are looking for aggregation in order to gain insight into rankings, exceptions, benchmarking, visualizing, and helping to really bring to light what those numbers are. That is Spotlight Multi. Before I move off, I'll also point out that you can prepare reports for individual entities within that head office or the different branches within that group. That's a really strong part here, and you can configure the user settings so that each franchisee has access to their own data and nothing else. You, if you're the preparer of this report, would have access to everything, but you can scale it down so that they're seeing just the slice that they need to see. Now, on that topic of kind of user permissions, there's a whole raft of different things that you can configure there. Security, though, is something that is so important to us. We are ISO 27K certified, and that means that we are recognized for taking our data protection, our security very seriously. It's really important to us that we keep your data safe, and for you, it's really important that your data is safe. So I figured that I'd just tack that in there before we come across to our fifth and final product, Spotlight Sustain. Now, Spotlight Sustain is our newest product. It is for ESG reporting, environmental, social, and governance style reporting. The things that you can do within Spotlight Sustain are similar to what we've seen in the other products. However, the angle, it's a slightly different cut of the data, because we're talking about data that isn't always financial. More often than not, it's non-financial. You're going to start slightly differently. So in this case, we've kind of built in prompts to say, hey, I'm looking for some style of ESG report that's maybe a little more light and brief. And you can kind of see what's going to be included there, or much more advanced, in which case you can see everything that's going to be included in that report. That then brings us to the question around data. Where do I actually pick this data up from? We have built into Spotlight Sustain an Excel upload to start with, but we're also in partnership with a carbon accounting provider called Someday, and we're looking to build a connection up to their data so that we can pull carbon scope 1, 2, and 3 by their different levels of categories into Spotlight Sustain to take care of the E side of ESG reporting. That'll all pipe through, land in here in your data grid, where we've got environment, people, community, and customers, and you can see the types of things that are featuring there. Every metric has a target, so you can start to work to targets that you set for environment, people, community, customers. If you're looking to just do this manually yourself and kind of take a really, really quick go at it, add a new account, type in what it is, and then populate the values there. The build report, though, which is where we were just before, and is reminiscent of what we saw in all of our other products, Spotlight Sustain does have custom pages built for the likes of energy, carbon, culture, diversity. So you can start to see how this all pieces together now. One thing that exists in our other products, but I wanted to show it here in Spotlight Sustain because it's so important, is text. Now, I know that might sound a bit dry, but being able to type in text really is what rounds out an ESG report. We've got all of these graphs showing, and they look amazing, but being able to jump into your report, commentary, add in some auto text, which we've also included here, but then also being able to have the freedom to type in your own commentary, your own tracking towards target, your own initiatives that you're trialing or experimenting with is really powerful thing. There's, like we see here, where can I go back to there? There's an executive summary as well. So if you're looking to wrap up the whole report, then executive summary is the place to do that. For each, what would I call, section, you can see that there's a blank page left for you there. Those are image upload pages. So you can find an external image. It might be one that you found in your phone, that you've taken a photo of something about your team, about your premises, around, maybe it's that you installed solar panels recently. That type of thing can be injected to make this report really be something that relates to you and the business that you're working with. Off to the bottom there, you can also see these this KPI Planet, which is going to be tracking my performance actual versus target. So in this case, I've got carbon emissions, employee NPS, and energy usage NPS score, and volunteering. So all of that featuring with different layers of rings being my percentage performance. So actual versus target there, a really good way to visualize this information. We've incorporated templates here as well. So you can pick from different templates, and you can, of course, save down templates. So the broad sway of how Spotlight works on the whole is to start by making it easy for you. We'll give you a default configuration that is proven to be really popular, and all you need to do is upload your data. From there, though, we open up the door for flexibility. You can make any tweaks, changes, adjustments, color, you name it, you've kind of got it in order to build that report out. Layer in on top of that commentary. That's often where the real power, your expertise gets to shine in through the Spotlight report. The Spotlight report is but the mechanism for you to be able to interact and start that conversation around some of these really, really neat things. As you can see, within Spotlight Sustain, no difference between what we saw as far as report outputs are concerned. You can email it off, you can present it online, you can publish that report, and even download a PDF to tack it on to an email that you might be sending out. In conclusion, though, we've kind of worked through a lot. There is still a lot more to know. We do offer a number of things. So I'll point you off to this help icon in the top right-hand corner, where we have a full help center. You can get in touch with our customer support team who operate around the clock. And we also have other resources. Those might be things like if you're wanting to do a self-directed certification in Spotlight reporting, you can follow that along there. Really easy to do. Distilled into sort of 3 to 5 minute video modules in order to teach you something new each time you attack it. There's an advisory course if you are interested in that as well, hosted by our CEO, Richard Francis, and our strategic partners person, Danelle Fanger. Lots of industry knowledge, lots of product knowledge incorporated into that as well. There's all sorts of resources online as well to, for example, help you with building out your first Spotlight Sustain report. For today, though, thank you very much for watching this. If you've got any further questions, please do feel free to get in touch. Thank you.